Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and Salam Malaysia Madani to the JPN and PPD officers and my fellow English teachers. First of all, I'd like to apologize. Before I came here, I felt, okay, I can do this. Now when I'm here, the lights are flashing, I have stage fright. So uh, there's no stage, but I'm a bit shaking right now, but I hope that my message will come across. Okay, so my name is Shariffa Nurul Syamimi binti Mohamed Nazir. Most people call me Mimi. I'm from SMK Sultanah Bahiyah. And today we would sorry, it was supposed to be me and my colleague, but I think I'll fill in her place instead. So you'll see that we have two different methods, so to say. So it's okay, I will be presenting both for today. Okay, so in terms of SPM itself, we've identified that most students, I'm not just saying this based on my school, but I have taught a few other schools before this, and we found that when it comes to SPM proper, most students will struggle in everything. But yeah, different students will have different struggles. Some struggle with writing, some struggle with speaking, but I think almost all struggle with listening, because that one is a bit of a wild card every year. But in order to get our GPs up, we have identified two parts or two papers where the students could actually increase their marks. So weaker students can actually benefit from this, and the stronger students would be able to maximize their marks here. So those two parts are writing and speaking, like most of you have presented. Okay, so if you look at our slides, the first one will be talking about the speaking part, and the second part will be talking about the writing part. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so first we have this. Actually, we had a lot of strategies, but these two are the ones that pop out the most, and we find it's the most beneficial to the students, and it produces better results. So first is the Speak Up program. So this Speak Up program is roughly the same as almost every other program. It's borrowed here and there, but we call ours the Speak Up program. So what we do is we actually, first of all, we used to have the set system in our school, but we found that it hinders the speaking tasks for SPM, because they will usually go according to the name list. So the first student and the second student will be paired together. And if we do the set system, or they're in different classes or whatnot, it disrupts their familiarity with each other, and therefore the their ability to work together, their cooperation can be affected because they don't know each other. So we decided to just maintain, and we assign them their real partners for speaking in every speaking task for our Speak Up program. So they are very familiar with their partners, and they kind of have a good to and fro, so they can cover each other and help each other out. Okay, so this program basically is about working together to recreate what they will experience during SPM itself. So we usually put them in terms of the seating placement, and they will be assigned a student where they become an interlocutor, and the teacher will be the assessor. Okay, so basically what we do with the Speak Up program is we use theme-based topics aligned with the SPM syllabus. As you know that we have 4 themes, which are people and culture, science, technology, health, environment, and consumerism, and financial literacy. So we go through the questions, and usually we will go through questions that are provided by JPN and PPD, such as Kampoy, one of them. And we would kind of see what kind of questions tend to come up from each different theme. So for example, if it's consumerism and financial literacy, we see that there are a lot to do with online banking and scammers, and also online shopping. So we get them to do questions like that during our Speak Up program. So we would give them questions based on these themes, and sometimes we come out with our own, what we think might come out. Okay, so these are actually step-by-step guides for them, so that the weaker students will be able to feel more at ease when they are not presenting, when they are talking in front of their peers or even a teacher. Sometimes they can talk when they're in front of their peers, no problem. But the moment a teacher comes into the picture, they start to freeze. So we usually will get the teachers who have been interlocutors to come and view them, and they feel a bit more at ease the next time a different assessor or interlocutor comes. Okay, so the step-by-step guides, we provide them sentence patterns, what to say in every part. So they are quite ready to tackle any questions that they may come. And we usually use past year speaking questions because they will usually be the same every single year. Okay, so basically the objective is to build their confidence and also to improve their speaking skills using structure. So when the students have the structure, they are able to, so to say, goreng. So they can say anything that comes to mind and they will actually speak. The problem with a lot of students is when they are not confident, they freeze and they don't say anything, which defeats the purpose of speaking. So with this, they actually can say something, at least a few cohesive devices, a few phrases here and there. Okay, so based on the results, we have found that the Speak Up program has actually improved the students' confidence and also the likelihood of them saying something. Even the weaker students who usually say, teacher, saya tak tahu cakap English, it's okay. They can still say something when we use this program. Okay, so it's better organization, their ideas are clearer, and the most is they have exposure to how SPM will really be like, and therefore they are ready. Okay. All right. So based on, I will go through the results of this too because the writing part is also connected. Okay. So basically this is a peer collaboration between the students, and sometimes it will be in groups and sometimes it will change groups. It depends on them and how confident they are to tackle other new topics or new people. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the writing part. So for writing, we have identified that in order for the students who are weaker to at least gain a grade of maybe C+ and above, they need to be able to answer all 3 writing questions properly. So for SPM, we have part 1, part 2, part 3, and each part contributes 20 marks. But we find that most of the students will struggle in part 2 and also in part 3. So what have we done to counter this is we have used the right technique, but we tweaked it a bit to become the right recipe. So the right recipe is actually because we noticed that our students, they write, but their writing is not very organized. They just write whatever is in their mind and they forget things. And when they forget things, that's where the marks go down. So as you know, when it comes to writing, we have 4 aspects that we must cover in order to get 20 over 20. So these are content, communicative achievement, CA, organization, and also language. So somehow, even the good students, we find they will forget these parts, certain parts during the exams. And when we ask them, why haven't you added these on? They would say, oh, teacher, I forgot. But that affects their entire marks and it doesn't show their actual capability. So we decided, since they are very forgetful, never mind, let's make them a list so that they won't forget. So we came up with a checklist from this right recipe, which they have to remember. So the right recipe, we have come up with a mnemonic because when we started using this, the students kind of struggled to remember. It stands for ICPCCC. Even I have problems remembering it. So we came up with a mnemonic, or we call it I cook perfect chicken curry, so that they will remember. So if they forget anything, we will go to them at their desk. Okay, have you done I cook perfect chicken curry? And they'll be like, oh, okay. So this one will come, they will memorize this after a while. So this is something that we have to do since the beginning of the year. If you can start in Form 1, it's even better. So by the time they're in Form 5, they would kind of remember the recipe itself, the recipe or the checklist. Okay, so if you look at the slides, we actually included the recipe, so feel free to use it. Okay, so basically, I cook perfect chicken curry. It's ICPCC. They must have this in order to write. And each part, there are like checklists for them to take in order for them to ensure I can score the maximum marks for all 4 aspects of writing. Okay, so if you look at I stands for introduction and thesis statement. So we highly encourage students to write thesis statement. One for the word count and another is, it looks more organized, I would say. Okay, so basically for introductions, we will ask them to write 2 to 3 sentences. to introduce their topic and to add on a thesis statement. So the thesis statement is basically copy pasting the questions asked or the sub questions. Okay, it looks glamorous. Actually, it's pretty easy. Okay, then in terms of content, so the next is cook. So I is done, cook. Content. So basically they have to ask, did I answer all the questions? Meaning that if there are 3 bullet points, have I answered every single bullet point? And also in terms of specific question. So what exactly is a specific question? It means that when you read the question, sometimes they'll ask for singulars and plurals. For example, activities. So if it's activities, it's supposed to be more than one. But what I see students usually do is they'll write one. When we ask for one, they'll write two. When we ask for two, they'll write one. So they have to find the specifics of the question. And also in terms of tenses, is it going to be a recount? So therefore they will use past tense. Is it a factual essay? It must be present tense and so on. Okay, so after they have done the content, they have to think about the perfect or P, point. So in terms of points, so every single point, did they elaborate them and provide examples? So WH questions play a great part. So we encourage them to use examples if they can, but if they cannot, just elaborate using a WH question. One is enough, more is better. Okay, and then we have our chicken. Okay, so the chicken is what ties this whole recipe together. There's no chicken, it's no chicken curry. Therefore, cohesive devices. Okay, so cohesive devices. Did you use any connectors in your writing? Because you know that writing with cohesive devices, a lot of very high level, sophisticated cohesive devices, they would, berbelit, sorry. So they would actually produce higher marks. So this is where the weaker students will benefit. They can score high marks here and maybe not so high in language, and still they can get at least 10 out of 20. So it helps these weaker students a lot. And it ensures that if the higher level students or the stronger students, they will make sure that they get at least 4 or 5 for their organization marks. So these are some examples. We just give them a few to start, but I have actually asked my students to identify 5 that they will use in almost every essay, and they will use them. Okay, and finally, the curry. So it's almost done, closing time. Okay, so basically how to close, restate or summarize your statements. That's the first part. Okay, most students who are weaker, they'll use restate. Summary is more for the better students. And then last but not least, hope. Write your hope or a recommendation for the future about your topic. Okay, I think everybody has basically done this. It's just that when we tell our students just like that, they don't remember. But having this checklist reminds them. One is because of the pictures and also the checks. So every time they actually write, they have to use this. And also when they do peer checking, they utilize this same checklist and they will tick, 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 tick to see whether their friends have accomplished every single part. Did they cook the perfect chicken curry, or it's just I cook chicken or I cook curry and so on. Okay, so basically from both of these programs that we have done, we have found that results have improved. So before this in 2023, it was 3.18. Now it has become 3.10 with higher levels of C+ and above. So I think that it has worked, and it's made writing more fun for them because they can actually check the work instead of us telling them what went wrong. So that is it. Thank you very much, everybody.